Hello, it's 9 p.m. in Art. This time to English New Edition. For tonight's headlines, we have the head of state arrives in Qatar to participate in the kickoff of the 2022 editions of the World Cup. The 2022 Football World Cup opens this Sunday in Qatar. The celebration of the World Children's Day in Djibouti. Welcome to our newsroom. The President of the Republic, His Excellency Ismail Omar Guelleh, arrived today to the city of Doha, the capital of the state of Qatar, where at the invitations of Emir Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani, he will take part in the kickoff of the 2022 editions of the World Cup. President Guelleh's participation in the opening ceremony of the 2022 World Cup shows his commitment to events that increase the level of contact and rapprochement between the world's different societies. In addition to his participation in the opening ceremony of the World Cup 2022, the head of state of Djibouti will take advantage as usual this trip to Doha to meet with the main political authorities of the host countries of the event, including the Emir of the State of Qatar, Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani. He will also meet with several of his peers, head of state and government of brotherly and friendly countries, participating as he does in the opening ceremony of the World Cup 2022. The 2022 World Cup opens this Sunday in Qatar. The 2021, 4.5 years after the victory of the French team in Moscow, the 2022 World Cup opens this Sunday at the Al Bayt Stadium with the opening match between Qatar, the host country of the 22nd editions, and Ecuador. The first Like many other countries of the world, the Republic of Djibouti commemorates every November 20 during the International Day of the Right of the Child, the adoptions of the Conventions on the Rights of the Child in 1989. The Republic of Djibouti celebrated today the World Day dedicated to children, placed under the high patronage of Prime Minister His Excellency Abdul Qadir Kamil Mohammed. The 2022 edition is like those of the previous years. It is organized by the Ministry of Women and Family in close collaboration with the UNFD, UNICEF, and the Ministry of Labor and the Ministry of Health. This ceremony demonstrates the importance that our country attaches at the highest level to the issue of children, chaired by Prime Minister Abdul Qadir Kamil Mohammed. It brought together in the auditoriums of the People's Palace several members of the government, including the Minister of Women and Family, Muna Osman Aden, main organizers of this annual event. The ceremony was attended by the member of government, diplomatic corps accredited in our country, representatives of United Nations systems in Djibouti, the parliamentarian, and a crowd of children. The objective being for the signatory countries of the International Conventions on the Rights of the Child, including ours, which has also ratified the African Charters dedicated to children, to raise awareness of the public power and the entire Djiboutian community to promote the fundamental rights of the children, including those focused in the field of health, to prohibit the recruitment of minors in the workplace, but also to protect them against all kinds of violence. This ceremony closed a week of activities that aim to raise awareness of the importance of preserving the rights of the child, who is a human capital, recalling the various workshops that aim to inform and raise awareness on the best interests of the child and bringing together personalities, parliamentarian and civil society were also organized during the week by the Ministry of Women and Family and UNFD in collaborations with the national and international technical partners such as UNICEF, the first partners on children's rights. In a speech delivered on this occasion, the Minister of Women and Family, Muna Usman Aden, said that the preservation and promotion of children's rights is not an option, but a necessity for a better world for every child. We are celebrating the International Day of the Rights of the Child, which was designated by the United Nations on the 20th of this month. We have brought together all of our various technical and technical partners to showcase what we have accomplished and what challenges remain. The importance given to children is an example of the political will of the president, who is strong in his desires and working for the rights of our children as well as refugees to get better care. The statement that has been made that the establishment of the National Council for Human Rights and the National Platform for the Protection of Children shows that the government of Djibouti gives special importance to the youth of the future. Taking the floor in his turn, the Prime Minister, His Excellency Abdul Qadir Kamil Mohammed, insisted on the fact that all government policies is oriented toward the welfare of children. Listen to His Excellency, the Prime Minister.
La célébration de la Journée internationale de l'enfant est une occasion remarquable.
The celebration of the International Day of the Child is a remarkable opportunity to demonstrate all the government has already done for our future, because better than anyone else, the Djiboutian child represents the future of Djibouti. I would like to salute Madame the Minister of Women and Family, your initiative to have organized this celebration over a period of 1 week in close collaboration with the UNFD because of its essential role in the protection and development of children. We have been able to save all children living in Djibouti from the atrocities of war and their use in conflicts or in forced labor. But I want to emphasize today that the whole government policy is oriented towards the welfare of children. Since their birth, children are the objective of particular attention of the government by the action undertaken, first of all, in the field of health, thanks to the programs of vaccination and sanitary follow-up and the support of the Association of the Mother and the Child, but also from the age of their schooling, with the strong increases in the rate of schooling, especially for girls in the regions. This governmental work is also felt in the protection of little girls with the fight against excision, and also in the protection of early childhood for abandoned children and street children. Moreover, the government is also intervening for the better living of young people by establishing all the training courses in Djibouti and tools to facilitate the insertion of young people in the world of employment. The Ministers of Culture and Sport and of Youth are multiplying the progress intended to train a healthy and motivated youth. Madam Minister, you are the focal point of all these particular actions, and you follow the evolution of this improvement. But the protection and development of children is never fully complete. So you also prepare the government action to solve the problems and pitfalls that arises on this path by actively participating in the coordination are organized. For us all, the economic and social achievements of the government testify the Djiboutian child is the first priority of the President of the Republic.
At the end of the official speeches, the personality present at this ceremony proceeded to a ceremony of handing over of gifts during these days, marking the ceremony of the International Day of the Rights of the Child. The Prime Ministers, the Minister of Women and Family, the representatives of UNICEF, as well as the high officials officially handed over gifts to the children. The Minister of National Education Vocational Training, Mustafa Mohamed Mahmoud, received today in his office a high-ranking delegation from the French Ministry of National Education and Youth. The delegation was introduced by the first Secretary of the French Embassy in Djibouti, Ms. Christelle Chatrion-Gomez. To the Minister, Ms. Chatrion-Gomez introduced the delegation and inspectors led by Mr. Emmanuel Bay, in charge of cooperation in the Africa Department at the French Ministries of Education and Youth. It was an opportunity for her to recall the framework of the French academic missions, which is part of the academic cooperation between the MENFOP and the French Ministry of Education and Youth. The cooperation officers, Mr. Emmanuel Bay, then gave an update on the missions of the inspectors who each described their home academics and their respective academic disciplines. The Minister Mustafa Mohamed Mahmoud expressed his thanks for having ensured the trainings and monitoring of the 18 Djibouti trainee inspectors who completed their training several months ago in the various academies in France. Listen to the Minister.
Je vous prie donc de transmettre mes sincères et vifs remerciements
I
à mon
welcome you
homologue.
to Djibouti, and I don't need to remind you the historical friendship that the privileged ties that unite our two countries that we all know. I hope you had a pleasant weekend and that you were able to appreciate the wonders of our country. I am delighted to welcome you this morning to the Ministry of National Education and Vocational Training of the Republic of Djibouti, and I would like to express my sincere thanks for your availability, your good collaboration, and for the welcome you have given to our 18 trainees. I also salute the admirable work that has been done in setting up the complex training as well as its implementation in the 6 academics and the IH2EF. We have called upon your respective institutions to support us in the end of the preparatory class of the high schools. Despite the time constraints and the efforts and energies that this requires, they have made available to us the necessary expertise of which you are part, so that the dream becomes a reality today. Please convey my sincerest and heartfelt thanks to my counterpart, Pap Day, to the rector of the Paris Academy, to the head of Africa, Asia, Oceania, and Francophone Department, to the Inspector General, and all those who have contributed to this project, which is of paramount importance for our country. All this is likely to give a new dynamic to cooperation in education and training, and it's important to know that the Republic of Djibouti has placed human capital at the center of its development policies. Hence, the priority at the national level given to education and training. Finally, I have no doubt that the priority areas of cooperation that we have code-defined will allow us to establish solid and lasting exchanges and partnerships, to share our expertise and experiences to strengthen the training of our personnel, optimize the implementation of the classes, optimize the integration of digital technology into teaching and learning, and to strengthen our technical education and vocational training offer. On this note, I wish you a rich and fruitful week of work with my teams.
The Secretary General of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Mohamed Ali Hassan, received in audience the delegation of the Ministry of National Education and Youth of France. The delegation was introduced by the Secretary General of MENFOP, Mohamed Abdallah Mahyoub, and the first Secretary of the French Embassy in Djibouti, Ms. Christelle Chatrion-Gomez. After the usual words of welcomes from the Secretary General of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the cooperation officers for Africa Department of the French Ministry of Education and Youth, Mr. Emmanuel Bay, outlined the new cooperation dynamics between the two ministries of education of Djibouti and France. It was an opportunity for him to introduce Mr. Karim Zayana, General Inspector of the French National Education in the discipline of mathematics, and Ms. Cécile Bettermain, a regional pedagogical inspector's representative of the Academy of Poitiers. Each of them gave a presentation on the strategic axis of cooperation between MENFOP and the French Ministries of Education and Youth. The Secretary General of MENFOP, for his part, emphasized the trainings and supervisions of the 18 trainee inspectors in the various French academies, which has paved the way for a revitalization of cooperation between France and Djibouti in the field of national education and training. He recalled that the French Ministry of Education has accompanied MENFOP in the reforms of secondary education since 2008, the opportunity for him to return to the key areas of cooperation that will set out in the framework of partnership agreement to be signed between the two ministries in the coming weeks. a cybersecurity capacity building workshop for IT engineers of the state opened today at the Sheraton Hotel Djibouti. The objective of the training is to learn to identify weaknesses in a network. It will provide knowledge to systematically test and exploit internal and external defenses following an established methodology. It will also teach the countermeasures to be taken to mitigate the IT risks incurred by the institution, in addition to the theoretical disciplines necessary to model and solve the problems posed. The training includes practical work that allows for a thorough understanding of how to prevent or counter attacks in an environment close to the professional reality. On the other hand, this training emphasizes the technical and understanding and practical applications of the various forms of existing attacks, which will allow learners to measure the level of security of their information systems using computer security audit tools. Cybersecurity is an essential factor for a successful, sustainable, and efficient digital transformation. For his part, the Director of Digital Transformation, Abdallah Ibrahim Umar, said in his speech that the head of state, His Excellency Ismail Omar Guelleh, places digital as a vector of growth for the countries, indeed addressing cybersecurity issues early on at the heart of the digital services development, and digital transformation will not only help level the playing field for the digital economy in the countries, but will improve its resilience and reduce its vulnerability. The workshop will continue until November 2022. The General Director of the Pneumophysiology Hospital, Dr. Shakib Saada Umar, Mr. Hussein Mohammed Hussein, received the donations of medical equipment offered by the Italian military support base in the Republic of Djibouti. The donation is composed of several equipment for the laboratory, including a centrifuge and biochemistry analysis device. Attended this ceremony the Director General of the hospital, Dr. Shakib Saad Umar, Mr. Hussein Mohammed Hussein, and the head of the military civil corporation of the base, Gasparetto Andrea, noted that this equipment and materials come on the one hand strengthen the operational capabilities of the laboratory services, will contribute to the care of patients and improve the health of the population, and on the other hand reflect the excellent cooperation between the two countries. Colonel Wais Omar Boghore, commander of the Djiboutian Coast Guard, and Colonel Ahmed Dair Jama, commander of the Djibouti National Navy, took part in from 15 to 17 November 2022 in the second edition of the Saudi International Maritime Forum held in Jeddah, Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. This forum is a biennial meeting and discussions platforms organized by the Royal Navy of Saudi Arabia and held under the patronage of His Royal Highness Prince Khalid bin Salman bin Abdul Aziz, Minister of Defense of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. This second edition of the theme follows the first edition that took place in 2019 and had as its main theme the fight against the threats posed by drone systems to maritime security and coastal installations. Indeed, the development of autonomous drone technology has increased the risks. The forums was an opportunity for the international partners and defense industry to meet to understand the risks posed by the development of this new technology and the challenges they pose to actors involved in the field of security and maritime safety. The Executive Secretary of the Risks and Disaster Management of the Ministry of Interior organized today in the conference room of the Djibouti City Hall an official handing over ceremony of the office automations and computer equipment for the new regional offices for risks and disaster reductions. The resident coordinator of the United Nations system, the resident representative of the UNDP, the representative of UN agency, the prefect of the regions, the director of the meteorology agency, and the executive secretary of ONAS participate in this ceremony. The executive secretary of risks and disaster management thanked the UNDP Food Agriculture Organization for the granting of this equipment and the organization of a 10 days training for regional focal point and executives of the prefectures and the city all of Djibouti. He also indicated that the 5 regional offices will be used to animate the early warning systems of the regional platforms for disaster risk reductions, to carry out a rapid assessment after disaster, to study the different solutions to improve the management of aid to be given to those affected by natural disasters. Sirido Association is an association that fight for the protection of the environment, quality education, and support for the vulnerable families in the locality of the Dai region. It aims to promote sustainable development and environmental protection. Among its projects, the Sirido Association wishes to train the women of Dai and its neighbors in the field of handicraft. This capacity building trainings for women artisans aims to primarily to raise awareness among women of the locality of Dai and its surrounding to exploit their know-how by trading local products. Through this training, the association Sirido wants to improve income-generating activities in the field of craft. This workshop allowed to train about 60 women from the locality of Dai and its surrounding thanks to competent trainees in the field of handicraft. Through this training, the association Sirido has set the objectives of increasing the values added of basketry activities for 16 women in these 3 different localities, and also to remove the constraint that women faces for the realizations of productive and resilient activity through these theoretical and practical trainings on improving techniques of basketry and all kinds of arts. Djibouti Judoka starts with a banger at the Yaoundé Opens while waiting for the great favorite Alexander Hussein. The young judoka won 2 gold medals after the young gassers. The second Djiboutian gold medal is the work of Sasso Muhammad Hassan Sasso, son of the former judoka. The young Sasso settled on the highest of the podiums of the category 66 kilograms in the junior. The Djiboutian beat the Cameroonian in the final by IPON in less than 20 seconds, a pride for the national judo headed by the President Faisal, who honored the Republic and the National Federations of Judo. The sport first editions of the 20-kilometer cycling towers of Djibouti on Saturday, November 19, the Sheraton Djibouti Hotel held the first editions of the 20-kilometer cycling tower of Djibouti. This competition brought together professionals, amateur and also all lovers of this noble sport that is cycling. The prestigious institutions of the Republican Guard was proudly represented by the Union Cyclists of the Republican Guard. Very quickly, the riders distinguished themselves by their speed and took distance from the other participants. Their professionalism and efforts paid off once again, as all the Republican Guard cyclists took the first 6 places in the competition. The visions and objectives of these young teams, led by Master Hand, is to raise the flag of our dear motherlands as high as possible and represent the countries at the international level. No doubt that with the efforts, support, and assistance of the Chief of the Republican Guard, Colonel Mohammed Jama' Douale, these dreams will become reality. In this perspective is Colonel Mohammed Jama' Douale, on behalf of the military and civilian personnel of this institution, wishes to express his warmest and most heartfelt encouragement to the runners, but also to all those who have contributed in any way to make this day memorable. For the international scene, the COP27 ends on a mixed note. More details with Dini Musa.
After more than 2 weeks, the major UN climate conference ended more than a day behind schedule, making it one of the longest COPs in the history. It was not easy, but we finally fulfilled our mission, underlined the Egyptian president of the conference. A final declaration resulting from many conferences was finally adopted, calling for a rapid reduction of emissions, but without new ambitions compared to the last COP in Glasgow in 2021. We must drastically reduce emissions now, and this is a question that the COP has not answered, lamented UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres at the end of the climate conference. In the aftermath, the European Union said it was disappointed by the agreement of emissions. The issue of loss and damage, climate of poor countries, had almost derailed the conference before being the subject of a compromise text of last minute that leaves many questions pending, but acts in principle. The creation of a specific financial fund, the text on emission reductions was also very controversial, with many countries denouncing what they saw as a step backwards from the ambitions defined at previous conferences, notably on the most ambitious objective of the Paris Agreement to contain warming to 1.5 Celsius compared to the pre-industrial era, which is, however, reaffirmed in the final decision.
This is it for the news. Thanks for watching us. Have a good evening.